You're watching the Local Footy Show. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the memorable, brawling, incident-packed 1967 VFA Grand Final between Dandenong and Port Melbourne. In what is regarded as possibly the most infamous of all VFA Grand Finals, spot fires broke out all around the ground. Port coach Brian Buckley threatened to take his team from the field and, unbelievably, the field umpire was knocked out. For 50 years, umpire David Jackson has declined countless commercial media offers to give his version of what happened that day at Punt Road. Tonight, in an exclusive interview, David Jackson breaks his silence to remember one of football's most turbulent days.
A short pass up towards that half-forward line. Huey Mitchell waiting for the bounce. Gets it back. Oh, Mitchell has gone down. He's hit very solidly. Look at them go in here.
He was the man in the middle on that September day in 1967 when all hell broke loose on the VFA stage. Amazingly, gently spoken David Jackson, now 85 years of age, has only good memories of that day.
It was one of the best days I've had in my life, except when I got married, of course. That was a great day. It was a top day, and I'll never forget it.
But you had your hands full that day.
I was warned beforehand that would have my hands full. The chairman of the umpires board said to me it would be a tight game and to keep control of it. And Freddie Allen, the umpires coach of that day, told me it would be on because there was obviously going to be a hard game, and he advised me that if there was any trouble, just to keep the ball moving around the ground, and that's what I did. And if there was trouble, I just kept on going, and I was backed up by 4 tremendous people, 2 goal umpires and 2 boundary umpires, who looked after all the little fires behind me. So we kept the ball moving, and it worked well.
You also got knocked out in that game.
Yes.
The umpire's down. The umpire's out. Umpire's down. Here's the sensation, a boundary umpire. A boundary umpire. Is it or is it the field umpire? Well, we don't know what's happened out here. Has he collapsed? Well, here's sensation after sensation this quarter. This will run 40 minutes.
I feel that it's definitely umpire Jackson that's down because I've noted that the boundary umpire has fair hair and the other one has a lighter colour. It's definitely Jackson that's down.
What are your memories of that?
Well, I don't remember much about it except that there was a scrimmage behind me, and there was a scrimmage up the front there, and the ball landed, and there was another scrimmage there, and I was moving towards the third one, and all of a sudden everything went blank. And the next thing I knew is that I woke up with this evil smell, and it was old Basher Barnes, and he had a little bottle underneath my nose. And I went to get up, and he said, "Davey, stay there. Just have a rest, And he said, "Just take it easy." And he helped me up. Basher Barnes was a tremendous guy. He really helped me that day. Really helped me when everything was around me was going on. He was a steadying person. Fantastic. That's all I remember. I don't think Eddie Mearline knocked me out. I don't think so. I think I collided with a scrimmage. That's my opinion, but I don't know. Because in those days, the umpire used to go in and break them up. They don't now, but in those days, it used to go in and try and break them up. And I moved towards that, and I think I collided. Because I knew Eddie Mearline, and I spent a lot of time with him after games, and he wouldn't do a thing like that.
After you got knocked out, were you confident that your mind was back on the job?
Good question. When I had the selling sauce and Basher Barnes says, just take it easy, you'll be right, take it easy, So I got up and I felt okay, and I was umpiring okay. I got up and I heard the crowd roar, and then I said, "What's happening?" And they said, "The emergency umpire's on his way out, And so Basher Barnes said, "Don't worry, David, don't worry, you're right, Ron." So they waved him back, So we went in at half time, and the chairman of the umpires board came in and said, "I'm okay." I said, "Okay," and he went out. There was no instructions to change anything. No instructions. Freddie Allen, the umpire's coach, came in and he said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You're doing all right, don't worry." He walked out. There was no instructions to change anything. They just checked on me, and there was no suggestion that not to carry on or anything. They just left things as they were.
David's wife, Lois, was in the stand watching the chaos unfold.
I was nursing a 3-month-old baby, and I nearly dropped her. It was terrible. It was a terrible day. Yeah.
What went through your mind when you saw your husband?
Well, I didn't know what had happened to him. So, fortunately, he wasn't down for very long. I think he got up quickly when he saw the other umpire coming on. He recovered very quickly and he took over the game again. So I knew he was okay.
Port Melbourne coach Brian Buckley wanted to take his side from the field. What did he say to you?
He said he was taking the... When I went to take John Peck's number, he came up and he protested about it, and he said he was going to take the players off the ground.
And what was your reply to that?
I didn't reply because I had my hands full doing what I had to do, was to get the players' number, and to have a third party interfere. I knew it would invite trouble, so I completely ignored it. And once I got the number, I got on with the game. I learned in business and that if you bring a third party in, it creates more problems. So you're isolated.
Umpire David Jackson. Look at Peck having a go at the umpire down here too. And Peck is not short of a word. He's still having a go.
He'll penalise him further if he doesn't stop it.
John Peck appeared to be a major handful for you that day. How did you get on with him?
Peck used to get behind me at the centre bounce and he says, Davey, I'm right behind you. I'll have my eyes on the ball. If I run into it, it's not my fault, he used to say. And I used to wait for it, but it never happened. You know?
There have been lots of theories over the years about what caused the fighting to start. Was there any particular trigger point?
I think money. There was a big bet put on before the game.
Did you know that before the game?
No. I knew afterwards, though.
Is it true that the teams didn't want you to umpire the game?
When we went into the Port Melbourne room to meet the captain and the players, and the chairman of the umpires board announced who had the game, they said, no, we don't want David Jackson, we want Alan O'Neill. And he said, no, we've selected David Jackson and he'll be umpiring the game.
Did that day affect your life in any way afterwards?
It affected my family a little bit in the short term. We had to have a police... the police kept the car out the front and kept going past all the time at night time for 2 or 3 days until things settled down, and until the tribunal met, because there was quite a few players got reported. We got a lot of phone calls and it was a little bit difficult, but there's been no long-term effect.
Lois, were there ever times that you wanted David to give it away?
There were, when we had police looking after the house, and we had threats of bombs being blown up, and unfortunately a jockey a few weeks before had had threats and his house had been blown up. So I was very conscious that it could happen. So they were hard times. We had young children and it was very worrying. We had police around all the time. I learnt that I never told anyone that I was with the umpire. I was never part of his group, because I've seen them spat at and wanted to throw you out over the fence, and so I learnt that you never said you were with the umpire.
David, did you mix with any of the players after that game?
No, I didn't. Freddie Allen, the umpire's coach, said just I think it's best if we stay by ourselves. There's a lot of animosity out there. Don't make it any worse, you know. And I think I was pretty exhausted. I think it was so controversial. It was. I think Freddie Allen, the umpire's coach, I think he adopted the attitude, well, we'll just leave things go, we'll stay away from them. Because in those days, you always mixed with the players after the game. You went into the rooms and both sides were there, and the ladies made tea and coffee and sandwiches, and they were good times. You know, you could talk to the players. But on that particular day, when coming off the ground, there's 7 policemen around me, you know, and there's a policeman on a horse, and he put the horse's head over my shoulder, and he leaned down and he said, "You made us earn our money today," he said.
Was there any fallout from the umpires board or the VFA?
Umpires board didn't make contact with me. Freddie Allen, the umpires coach, said it was he was satisfied with him. And the first game in the following season, first 9 games of the following season, I was appointed to senior games. So that in itself proved to me that they were happy with it.
So how did things go at the tribunal?
Well, I didn't have to do much, because I just had to give my evidence, and they made a decision, and they suspended most of the players. I think it was pretty obvious, everybody saw it. And I think the players knew that too, you know. And I think the players acted the day that they should have. They were trying to win the game and protect their team and that. And no, it was okay. But I know at the tribunal, we get to the tribunal and I don't know who it was. I think it was old Freddie Hill. Remember old Freddie Hill, the secretary there? I think it was him. He came out and he said, everybody here, and everybody's here. So they locked the door. Everybody locked the door. So no one can come in or go out, you know, even the press. So after it was all over, they said, okay, all the umpires up here near the door. And they said, okay, we'll give you a 5 minute start. So they let all the umpires out and close the door. And they wouldn't let anybody out of the VFA house for 5 minutes. It was amazing.
That grand final would have been the main topic of conversation for quite a while, I'd reckon.
Very much so. Very much so. I was, at the time I was with Schweppes, sales manager for Schweppes. And for say 3 or 4 months afterwards, you go to see a customer, they didn't want to talk about Schweppes. They wanted to talk, they wanted to talk about football. And I knew it was coming, so I used to say, let's get out of the way. We used to talk about football. But I think it might have helped me in business because people wanted to see it. They wanted to say who this guy is and has he got 2 heads? No, he hasn't got 2 heads, you know. So it was good. It was an enjoyable time afterwards, very much so. I'm really pleased I umpired and I enjoyed it, you know. I enjoyed it very much.